it's going. I think it's going. Who the hell knows, man? 3, 2, 1. Shamma Jamma, we're live, dude.
Look at all these toys.
Yeah, so, we got to represent Stan Lee.
Yeah.
If it wasn't Veterans Day and for observation, I would have put the big, because I've got the big, Spider-Man banners and stuff, and we would have covered that up. But
we got Captain America right there.
Captain America, we got a couple Spider-Man, Deadpool, So he's most known, just people know that Stan Lee passed 95
years old.
95.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Did they say, I know it's probably just old age, but did they say why?
I didn't see what it was.
Because I looked at a couple things.
What do old people die of?
Old age.
Heart attacks.
Yeah, it's just heart failure. It's more like failure. Yeah.
Stuff like that. So I'm sure it was something like that. I don't know if he was sick or not.
But, dude, as a massive Marvel fan from as far back as I can remember.
Yeah. Who isn't? Who's not a Marvel fan? We all grew up on comic books.
Even people who are, I'm DC, they still like Marvel.
Marvel's better.
Dude.
It always has been.
Yeah.
The only thing DC's got is Batman and Superman. And Superman's like, okay.
When Superman got a little rough there for a while, I really liked it. When he started to get a little ragged and got a little dark, that was good. But other than
DC
that,
tried to get a little dark with there, but it's just not the same.
No.
Marvel's just way better.
And I don't know what it is, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Stan Lee's most known for Spider-Man, creator of Spider-Man, creator of the majority of X-Men.
Yeah.
And then the more modern, I say more modern because I think it was in the 60s, but Black Panther.
Yeah.
And Hulk. Those are his.
Hulk. Interesting story about Hulk. Did you know Hulk was originally supposed to be gray?
You know what? I read that, and then I was like, wait, that's bullshit, because they just didn't print shit. And I was like, no, they print it in color. It was TVs.
They couldn't get it was supposed to be gray, but they couldn't get the right color gray. No. So the second episode, they just magically switched him to green. But he was not supposed to be green, which is so weird because it's green. Hulk is green.
Hulk's fucking green. Yeah. Green monster, dude.
It's like totally weird. But yeah, he was supposed to be gray.
I think that was a quality mistake.
Yeah, that was one of those accidental things that really worked out for the better.
Yeah. So I was like, shit. What's your favorite Marvel character?
Oh, my kids are not. Probably Deadpool.
Yeah.
The current evolution of Deadpool with what's his name? I can't think of the actor's name.
With Green Lantern.
Yeah, with Green Lantern.
Like that?
Yeah.
No,
that was a nice little. But that version of Deadpool, probably. But before him, I would have said Iron Man. I've always liked Iron Man and Tony Stark. Thought he was pretty cool. But there's so many cool ones.
That's from the transition from comics to the big screen. I think that's the most accurate.
Yeah,
I feel like that's the most accurate.
I thought he was the coolest one too.
Yeah.
Until Deadpool came along. Tony Stark is the coolest. So my kids and I would get in this argument all the time because all kids love Captain America. Like Captain America is it for most kids. And my kids love Captain America.
Yeah.
And I would say, no, it's Iron Man. Tony Stark's the coolest one.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, he's old. Yeah, so he's still awesome.
It's impressive that Tony Stark and a couple other ones, Hank Pym and those guys, they do shit without any powers.
Yeah, the power of the mind.
Well, right, but no
super intelligence,
extra abilities or
that's what makes them cool because they're scientists.
Yeah.
And they do it with the power of science. That's what I thought was the coolest part.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I would tell my kids, I was like, look, Captain America's just a dude on roids.
Basically.
That's all he is, just a roided up dude. I mean, there's
yeah.
nothing special about he just got injected with stuff. Like, Tony Stark's a freaking genius. You know, he's a modern day, he's
Tony Stark's dad made Captain America.
Exactly.
Yeah, so yeah.
So I guess he based that guy on Howard Hughes, huh? Yeah,
that's what I mean. There's speculation.
It's gotta be. It's like
it's supposed
very Howard Hughes type.
Very
character.
much so. Yeah,
it makes sense.
Yeah,
but Stan Lee was a cool dude.
Yeah.
I think what else did I read about him? He was, him and Dr. Seuss were part of, I guess that small little group of guys who were hired by the army or enlisted by the army to create propaganda films for the military.
Yeah,
and I know the guy who created Dr. Seuss was one of them.
Yeah,
who was also the guy who wrote, because we're coming up on Christmas pretty soon. I'm not ignoring Thanksgiving, but Christmas is the big one.
It's the bigger one.
The guy who wrote It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh no, shit! I know that.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
No,
so,
that makes sense now.
Yeah. Well,
when you kind of take the Christmas story and take a little bit of that propaganda and you go back to that time, like that makes
It's a Wonderful Life.
Sense.
My favorite Christmas movie of all time. But yeah, since I read that Stanley and him, and there was like three.
Yeah.
Excuse me, there was like 3 or 4 other guys in there that made major movies too. Were like they were all big deals. And it was Stan Lee, man. He's an American legend, dude.
There's what he and his team and his people accomplished in that world of entertainment and comics and what they overcame. It's just fucking amazing. Yeah. There's a Netflix series, documentary. I don't think it's Netflix only. But there's a documentary on him and Marvel Comics that all the way come through. I watched it. It's I don't have 2 hours long. Amazing. How many times they almost closed their doors and
I bet.
Taking all their private loans and just, walking around the streets like no office and making sure. Oh, it's way cool. It's way cool.
It's amazing. Yeah. Look at what they gave everybody. Like
the entertainment. I mean, So my first favorite was Spider-Man.
Okay.
Until I learned about the Iron Fist, and then it became the Iron Fist. So check that. Grab that photo.
Netflix screwed that.
I'm gonna slam behind you, behind the all the Brady stuff. Right here? Yeah, that gold frame.
Oh,
yeah, I just thought about that right now.
That's very neat.
So that was I don't know if people can see that or not. Me at between 3 and 4 years old.
Yeah.
Seeing Spider-Man, because back in the day, they the characters used to go to various like malls and shops.
I remember
and all.
that.
You remember all that kind of stuff?
I remember catching superheroes.
Yeah. So that was my favorite until I got a little older and started fighting more and doing those things, and then learned about the Iron Fist. The immortal Iron Fist. Damn it, with the fucking Netflix series.
They
assholes.
Just screwed it all up. Netflix screwed up all the. They not all of them. I think a couple of them were okay, but for the most part, like Daredevil's terrible.
I got mad at that.
It started strong.
I feel better with it, but of all of them, I think that was the best one.
Was it? Well, I thought the one they did with Punisher was.
Oh yeah, Punisher was pretty
amazing,
good.
But they only did 1 season so far. So let's see if they come back with the second.
No,
season.
I'm gonna bite on the fucking rumor mill. Okay, I'm gonna take a bite out of the world of rumor. Okay. Okay, so you got the Disney owns all the rights to an overwhelming majority of those, and Fox owns the rights to even another massive majority. So they've got their merger that's going on, which takes years to happen, but it's already happening, right? So I think it's all worked out. It's just that there's phases and crap they got to go through. Disney's got a little streaming app called Disney Plus.
Really?
And it was very fascinating that how once they launched that and started putting that together, that all the plugs for Marvel films and all these independent ones got pulled.
That's interesting.
So they're saying the rumor is that Disney and Fox is killing all of the Marvel stuff that's out on Hulu and Netflix and Amazon Prime and all that.
Are they going to replace it?
To put them all on Disney Plus.
Man, that's a bummer.
You got to remember, Disney's famous back in the day for all the moratorium stuff.
Yeah.
Remember, like Aladdin, Aladdin was only out on VHS for a year, and then that was it. They were like, nah, not again.
Man, I'll tell you what, that's a bummer because I really enjoy the superhero stuff. I think most people do. I think most people really. I think it's like it brings us back to our childhood a little bit.
A lot of it.
And it lets you just forget and just go into that fantasy world and just live in it.
The definition of escapism.
Yeah, for sure.
It doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean anything. No teams are playing. No this. There's no investment. It's just simply mindless entertainment.
Man, you know what a meme I have not seen, and I can't believe I haven't seen it, is with the Infinity War, where Thanos, got rid of like half of everything.
Yeah.
But it looked like he got rid of 3/4 of all the Marvel characters.
Like it.
I haven't seen one with Stan Lee being Thanos out.
Well, you know that's coming.
It's got it. I can't believe I didn't see it today, though. Like I just like that's like the.
I will venture to say it's probably out there.
It's got to be.
I just
didn't see it.
If we had a little producer sitting over there, we would probably be watching it right now.
See it. Yeah, they've got to have, or at least a picture of it, because you saw a lot of I saw a lot of memes where they showed someone getting phased out, more as a joke, but with him it'd be like
that's got to be
right. That'd be the perfect.
Maybe too soon.
I don't think so. I think he would appreciate it.
It's like this when you live to be 95, and from what I remember is he's had a pretty damn healthy 95 years.
He looked good doing all his
cameo stuff.
Cameos, he looked great.
So
it's hard to believe he's 95, but it makes sense.
We all die it's inevitable for now. That may change in the future or whatever, but 95 years of quality life.
Yeah.
And to be that influential in the world of entertainment.
Well, think about how people always want to say they made a difference or whatever. He can really feel, I think he really can say he brought like joy to a lot of people. And it's going to continue long after he's dead. The amount of joy he brings to people.
I cannot tell you here stateside how many Tuesdays as a kid I was sitting outside of closed comic book stores waiting for the next ones.
Yeah.
Every Tuesday morning delivery, and I'm out there, and I knew they would open that door, and half the time they open the door, they're like, it didn't come yesterday, the mail comes in an hour. Yeah. And I'm sitting up there reading other comics, waiting an hour for the thing. Yeah. Oh, man, dude, that's...
Maybe this is what we need to unite us, losing Stan Lee. Maybe that's the uniting factor for... I feel like everybody loves Marvel movies and characters, across the spectrum. So maybe this is what we needed to finally bring us together. We lost Stan Lee. Let's come together for Stan Lee.
If history comes back and shows that, I'm going to have a big-ass laugh.
It would be apropos, I think.
Yeah, of course it would.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It would be pretty cool.
So, obviously, it's a little ironic or a little whatever. But speaking of death and everybody dying, we have one of our supporters of the show.
Yes.
And I'm gonna do this right here. National Life Group.
I messed that up last time.
Did you? I mess it up all the time anyway, and it's always late, and I do that, and I'm horrible.
Yeah.
But if you visit in a very quick, simple way, jasoncpowell.com/NLG, you can connect with Gail, who is our person in quotations for this. Just for those listening, it's jasoncpowell.com/NLG for National Life Group. They sell life insurance and other things as well. But on the life insurance side, especially it being Veterans Day, there's, a good handful, 15, 20 local vets that are friends of mine that I know that they've helped and gotten into this policy specifically, which is the Living Life policy. What that does is it covers you like very much like a whole life insurance. For those of you that don't know what that is, call Gail. But as that matures and as things progress down the years, if you get some sort of catastrophic injury or terminal illness, you can draw from that to take care of things now, so you don't burden your family when you're passed with medical bills and credit issues, and that it's a mess. So that's something that's a tool that can help you fix it.
Yep.
And anything from, I had a couple people who got some for their kids, so super young to my mother-in-law who's in her 70s. Covered us there for a good price. So check it out, jasoncpowell.com/NLG. Talk to Gail. Her phone number and email are there. If you just click on the picture, you get it. Super easy, no harassment, and protect yourself, man.
Yeah. Nobody outruns Father Time, not even Stan Lee.
Not even Stan Lee.
He got caught.
I know. And you know what?
He lived a good life, man.
A super quality life, man. Yeah. That was impressive.
We can all only hope.
Kid. Shit. Okay. Topic of the day, influence. Influencers, influencing, influence. I got to start it like this. The main reason I want to say this today, and it's going to sound like a slam, and we'll have to poke jokes. I'm sorry. But when Cortez won the election, and all the memes about her and the quotes and not even half, probably 90% of the memes that are out about her are not accurate to anything she said.
Right.
But there are a couple that are accurate to what she said, and they're fucking hilarious. But the point of it isn't, I really don't want to slam her.
Okay.
It's easy, and
it's almost too easy.
She's going to have a real hard time getting in there. And I'm very confused as to how she got elected, which is why I'm bringing this up.
Yeah. Well, I think, from what I understand, that particular district in New York is a very left-leaning liberal district.
Yeah.
So, and also ethnically, I think it's, from my understanding, Puerto Rican and Hispanic. But
there's a large number. How that ranks,
I'm not sure
but there's a good number.
But at any rate, I think the Democrats are looking to move out the Democrat that was already there before, had been there for a while, and she just kind of fit the bill.
Yeah.
And whether she has the qualifications or not, I believe she does have an Ivy League education.
I believe she is well educated
or something like that.
Could
I be wrong?
Well, she's well educated. I think it's
Boston University.
I think it is Boston. Now you said that. I think it is.
So it's a very good education. Some of her comments, some of the things we've heard her say, I think she's 28, 29
Yeah,
years old.
28,
She's very
I believe.
young,
Yeah.
and I think she's also very naive.
Yes.
And she's grown up in a way that's she's been protected. Her family was well off. I know she tried to put it off like she wasn't, but it came out that her family was actually well off, and
Yeah.
she grew up in upper middle class, like a lot, you know. And she's been instilled with this mindset of progressivism and liberalism and really socialism. I think she's pretty outspoken socialist, or almost.
No, I mean she's as announced as a socialist as you can be.
She's democratic socialist, Democrat, whatever. So I think there's a lot of naivete in that, and I think for us, for our generation, we grew up in the Cold War. We grew up seeing socialism and communism. Yeah. We know what it really is, and we experienced it firsthand. I grew up in Europe, when it was divided, and I lived in West Germany. Yeah. And
people forget about that.
Been to Berlin when it was East and West Berlin, and I've seen that. I've seen what the consequences are, and I grew up around that, so I'm very well aware of what the consequences, what's on the line when it comes to socialism versus the way we live our life.
Yeah.
But I don't think this new generation is. I just don't think they understand it. I think our universities are overwhelmingly liberal, to the point of socialist liberal.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of romanticism with liberalism, with socialism and communism, and so they don't really learn the truth about it. And I think she's an example of that. So she's not. I don't think she's stupid. She's smart enough to get through Boston University or wherever school she was, which is not easy to do.
Yeah.
So, what does that mean? Like, what does it mean? Ooh. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what it means for our country. I think we saw some very liberal candidates get elected in the midterms.
Yeah, we saw some
get run out.
Yeah,
but there is a little more of a left leaning. I think the left has definitely leaned more to the left. It's shifted to the left.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't understand what's precipitated this. I really don't. But it just seems like it's happened.
Well, with that, I think it's just a natural shift. The pendulum swings. We always get corrections and back and forth. And I think what's happening is it's swinging less.
Right.
Each way. So
what do you think is influencing the party, the Democrat Party? Not every case, but the Democrat Party to overall, I think in a general sense, to be shifting left.
So I'm going to make some massive generalizations, okay? So I know there's people that message me and they're like, "Oh, how could you say this? How could this?" So massive generalizations,
right.
Okay?
But you have to when you're talking a nationwide
right?
Issue.
And so I think the volume. It's social media, but I don't want to blame social media. The volume it gives every voice, okay? Like literally, your voice is exponentially louder today on social media than it was 5 years ago on social media. That type of a volume, not the numbers volume. There's numbers also, but I don't know that many more people are doing that much more on social media from a United States perspective.
Right.
On the larger three platforms, 3 or 4, however you categorize that. So I think that how loud those voices are scares some people. Typically, the middle to more conservative mind really just doesn't want to deal with what they see as illogical nonsense or emotional things.
Right.
They're just like, we'll talk about it in a second, but it's perfect Dan Crenshaw.
Yes.
Take that example, and it's kind of like, no, don't give me the apology. Don't do this crap. Don't do that. Let's just, you know what? Let's either do nothing or let's have a little fun with it.
Right.
That's typically the middle to conservative side. The middle and to the left typically is more emotional.
Yes.
They're louder, a little more boisterous, or all these other things. At the end of the day, if you tell me that the Democratic Party is massively different than the Republican Party, you deserve to get slapped in the face.
Right.
They're not. They're so minimally different. And then everybody uses random talking points to gain power and to do these things.
Right.
Those little talking points now are so much louder. So conservatives shy off, but they still show up and vote. Really, when you break it down, we're 50-50.
Yeah, we have been for a while. Right?
We've been 50-50 really since somewhere, I'll say, in the Clinton era. We went hard 50-50.
That makes
like
sense.
somewhere right in there.
Yeah,
I'd say during the second term,
I would
but
say during the 80s, we were definitely a little leaning to the right with Reagan. Reagan was very popular for the most part. I agree with you on that. I think the Dan Crenshaw thing is very interesting. I was actually very heartened by how that turned out.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I was very surprised. But it said a lot about that kid, that comedian, that I don't know, maybe you would have some insight into this. If the kid reached out to him or if he reached out to the kid, I don't know. But I was very pleased that they did what they did there.
Perfect.
It was perfect. Yeah. Because you know what? Like, it was just great. It was just great because I really believe, look, who cares? Like, who cares if we have disagreements politically, right?
Right.
There's a place for them to be hashed out. But overall, you know, I think we're all, generally speaking, we're pretty have pretty similar interests as far as living a happy life and not wanting to cause pain and harm to other people.
Yeah.
I think we're all in that same boat, and we just have different ideas about the best way to go about it. So man, that was pretty phenomenal to see how they addressed it together, and they brought him on the show, and it was pretty cool.
It was great.
I was really excited about
that. Goes directly into influence, right? That directly into influence, because I'll give you a little bit of the behind the scenes in a second, but on the influence, what that showed Americans and how to act is far more powerful than any apology they could have done, any firing of staff or firing of Pete or financial stuff or suspending from shows or anything. That never cures anything. Right? That sparks more fires.
Yeah.
So this, effectively, no, don't apologize. Have him on. Let's have some fun.
Yeah.
Was Dan offended? Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, he was offended at that one little portion. You know, 95% of Pete's skit about Dan was kind of funny.
Yeah.
You know, all the
it was till that one part,
and then they got to the one part, and then he crossed the line, and that's a risk you take, and people gaff and people take chances and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know the total facts on this because I know some people involved on the perimeter. So what I've heard is that part wasn't scripted. It didn't look scripted.
Does that make sense? He kind of said it.
It was kind of saying it, and I think he kind of got caught into it. It looked like a gaff.
They do like. Those are like the skits are scripted, and they actually go over them a couple times before they go live. So it's not like it's the first time he said.
Right.
I don't know if that
well,
part.
That apparently wasn't on the script.
Okay,
so it wasn't a scripted portion.
So
wasn't
he might have ad-libbed a little bit at the end.
And they do a lot of ad-libbing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't see the card. There's reflection. Sometimes you're trying
they're
to read.
Comedians, and they're probably a little bit ad-libbing going on.
So apparently, it wasn't on the script. He caught heat like a motherfucker.
He did.
And so the SNL staff had reached out to Dan's people and got to Dan and back and forth. That communication was literally pretty much to simplify it. I don't want an apology. Everyone knows it's going to be forced. I don't need anybody fired. You know what? Let's do something different with this.
Right.
And then they collaborated and came up with the idea of having him on the show, which was the next week.
It was quick.
It was
perfect.
Quick. The skit was pretty funny.
Spot on.
I mean, it was good.
It was kudos to both.
Yeah.
Kudos to Dan, and he was from the outset. He was like, he's sick of the outrage culture too. He's sick of everybody being offended and making apologies. He's sick of that. He's
talked about it a bunch.
Yeah, which is awesome. And but he was honest about that part was offensive. Yeah. But I don't need an apology or whatever, which I thought was cool on his part. And kudos to SNL because it's easy in this day and age to. Well, here's this, I'll back up track. Their timing was poor with Veterans Day coming up.
Yeah.
But it would be easy as a liberal television show that's pretty popular, especially among liberals, to just, who cares?
Yeah.
And move on. Yeah. And it wouldn't have affected them at all. It wouldn't have affected the ratings. The people that they upset probably don't watch that much anyway. So they could care less, really. If you want to get down to it, like numbers-wise, it wouldn't have mattered. But with the kudos to SNL, it makes me want to watch because I'm like, okay, so you're willing to recognize we stepped over a line, let's correct it, and
in an amazing way,
in a fantastic way. And I just wish we just all need to be like that. Like, hey, let's make jokes and have fun, and let's just calm down. Right. Let's bring the rhetoric down. Like, the rhetoric is crazy right now.
Well, it's like this is the lesson that I like to take from it, and I've seen around on social media that. It's cool to joke around. You might fuck up and offend somebody, but we're really not out trying to offend everybody.
Right.
The goal isn't to offend.
Right.
The goal is to be funny.
Right.
And sometimes when you're trying to be funny, you get a little bit offensive, and it's not the intent. 99.9% of the time here in America, it's not the intent to be an asshole or to be offensive.
Right.
So give that person a fucking break. Holy shit.
Let's say a professional troll.
Right.
We got
well,
some of those.
that's
that's
a whole little teeny tiny.
That's a profession. That's a whole other thing.
Fuck
but I will say this: there's something else to think about. And I was thinking about it. Excuse me, on Sunday, and actually, I'll tell you, I was watching the NFL. I was watching my Cowboys killing it, and I saw a nice display with the flag, and saw old George Bush out there on the field. And God, I was telling.
Well, do you know why he was there?
I had no idea. He was there for the Veterans
stuff?
Commencement thing in Philadelphia, it's in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Him and Laura Bush are being honored for, I don't remember the name of the Veterans organization, but it's like a big deal there. And they were being honored. I think his dad was like the first person to ever receive an award from this organization. But they do a ton of stuff for veterans. And so they were there for that. And so I guess the Dallas-Philly game happened to be that weekend. So he's from Texas, so he went to support his Texas team. Yeah. But they did a really beautiful display with the flag over the whole field.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was nice, man. It was nice to see that back and just that unity. I think because I saw there was players out there holding the flag. Yeah. I saw Wentz, and it was really nice. And oh man, I almost forgot where I was going with that. But anyway, I forgot where I lost one.
We were saying you were liking it with the unity and it being Veterans Day and the.
Sure. Oh, so Veterans Day. So this is what I was thinking. I was watching it, and I made a little post about it. And it's so I grew up in a military community, and most of my life, I guess, I was always around a military community. And my dad served, my grandfather served, everybody served. Yeah. And I just thought growing up, it's what you did. Like you just signed up. You know, it was not even if you didn't make a career of it, you just signed up. Yeah. So I ended up going to a military high school and all that, which, people who don't understand when you're deployed overseas, or your parents are deployed overseas, well, they bring families with them and they have kids. And so you have a whole high school system set up overseas for American kids. Yeah. And it's just like here, it's just sitting wherever they're at. So, but everybody joins. Almost everybody joins. Majority of people join. And it's just what you do. And it wasn't until I got out of the military and going to college and I'm in civilian life stateside, I realized like very few people serve. And like people like, oh, you were in the military? I was like, yeah, and everybody in the military at one point, And that's when I realized like how few people serve. And it's just kind of if you think about with the veterans thing, it's pretty amazing that how few people actually serve. And it would be nice if more people served. Yeah. Obviously, not everybody can. We can't support that large of a military. Right. But with Veterans Day, there we really need to honor veterans, and it's just I don't know. It's kind of interesting when you look at it and you realize, the way it is. And
this is a little bit of the touch of the liberalism in me, if this makes sense.
Right.
A lot of people aren't built to serve at the capacity that we did or other people around us have. And I always try to impress that service doesn't have to be jumping into the military and doing whatever has to happen in the military. Right. Flying, fighting, building, construct, whatever it is, support all those kinds of these. There's other ways to do it, right? I mean, there's GS positions. Mm-hmm. There's tons of civilian positions in the military.
Support positions.
There's tons of shit. Go out and serve your fucking community. Build shit, give shit, donate stuff, help people. Like, go serve. And I think in time, Veterans Day is going to trend to cover a little bit larger scope of people. I think first responders are going to start to get grouped into that pretty soon.
What do you think?
I think so, man.
I feel like we're separate. I feel like first responders are just a completely separate entity. And I think so. If we go back and look at Veterans Day, so Veterans Day came off of we just saw Trump over in Paris, which was
Armistice Day.
Yeah, it's Armistice Day, right? Which turned to Veterans Day, and it's like we're not the only country that honors it.
Right.
All Europe, Canada, everybody who experienced World War One, has some type of honorary day because it was such a massive, horrible war, and so I don't know. I feel like the Veterans Day is unique to itself. I don't know why. I just feel like first responders because like most first responders are veterans, which surprises me too. Which
is a little shocking.
I expected most first responders to be veterans, but no, that's not the case. So even as a first responder, there's not that many of us that are veterans. I mean,
Yeah.
there's probably more in our career field than others, maybe, but not by much. Not by much.
Yeah, I wouldn't think by
I've been
much.
very surprised how few people that are police officers or firefighters were in the military.
Yeah.
It's actually, I think, was it 3% of the population is served?
They throw that around, but it's
It's a generic
Yeah.
number, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just crazy. So I don't.
Because in a lot of ways, I agree with you. Right now, today, yes, there is a definite line between them. But I keep seeing that everything over the last, I'll just say decade, it's trended from veterans and active duty and retired to adding police, to adding fire, to adding now all first responders. So now it's kind of like typically the market leads the laws and governmental
Right.
changes. So as that group starts to expand and all of the discounts and benefits and awards and all that kind of stuff
Right.
are given across the board to first responders and prior military and active and all that kind of stuff, I think, I could be way wrong, I think it's going to wind up transitioning itself into that.
I'll tell you this. I don't think I agree with that. And I'll tell you why. And this is someone I've served overseas and I've been a police officer for 20 years.
Yeah.
What we do is two completely different things.
Well, were you MP in the?
Oh, yeah, I was in there. Yeah,
Okay.
I was what we call it SP.
Well, the SP.
But,
same.
whatever. Potato. So it's two completely different things.
Mhm.
I mean, even as an SP in Air Force, even though, like, stateside, yeah, it's pretty much just like what I do now. But when I was deployed overseas, no, it's ground-based defense, patrolling, it's all that stuff. It's nothing to do with enforcing laws.
Yeah.
That's out the window. You're not even messing with that. Not really. But excuse me. I think first responders deserve their own day.
Yes.
Because they're doing something that's very unique, and it's so different. When military, you're out overseas defending. You could say defending our values, defending our interests.
Yeah.
In the worst possible conditions.
Mhm.
In many cases, as first responders, you're here at home, and you're trying to keep the peace at home, trying to make things safer here at home, in your communities. You live in your communities that you serve.
Yeah.
And it's a very different type of job.
It's the difference is like this. When you are serving, you are to defend the Constitution. When you are a first responder, you are to defend the people.
Right, but the Constitution's there, and what's a weird.
It's a very different.
What's a weird thing about that is, so if you look at the military, you're defending the Constitution. You're defending you're almost defending the honor of the Constitution, so to speak. You're not worried about respecting people's constitutional rights and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Here, stateside, you walk this line where you want to respect people's constitutional rights, but you're trying to catch people who are violating laws.
Right.
But you got to act within those constraints.
Yeah.
They're constraints of I think is that a correct word?
Constraints. Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I think you get my point. You got to act within the confines of the law, which is of course our law is based on the Constitution.
Yeah.
Everything is based on that. You got to act within that, and so you're protecting the Constitution in a different kind of way.
Yeah. From a person to person perspective.
Yeah.
To where when you're serving in the military, it's more of you're protecting and advancing the ideals of.
Yes.
So it's one's about people and one's about this lot larger picture.
Yeah.
A much larger picture.
It's and I think the hardships in the military are so much greater. Now.
Yes.
And the stresses. I mean,
say
you're
yes.
in combat in some cases. Not everybody. There's only a certain percentage of people in the military who experience combat. But I think everybody gets an idea that everybody in the military is in combat. It's like, no, it's not really like that.
No.
It's just certain units or whatever. But still, those are extreme conditions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what first responders experience is something completely different. In some cases, there are situations that are similar to combat.
Yeah.
As we know it today. But for the most part, it's just a droll dealing with people on an 8-hour basis, 12-hour basis, whatever you're doing. And then, going back to your home life, which is sometimes within the same community, which presents its own issues. But, I don't know. But they both are doing extremely important jobs as far as.
And I don't want to. I feel bad when I'm like, yes, because I agree. I think the best scenario would be to have a day of recognition for first responders. I like that. I'm just on the flip side. I'm kind of sick of having so many just days.
So many days.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm like,
well, we got like National Boyfriend Day, National Donut Day, National Cat Day. When did all these come about? I just see them post. They just come across my feed on Facebook. I'm like, really? It's National Water Drinking Day?
Yeah.
Like,
stupid.
Where did that come
Pancake
from?
Day and Donut Day and
I'm not
Pizza
hating
Day.
on the Pancake or Donut Day. Like, an excuse to eat those is cool, but it's kind of weird that we have all. I mean, who comes up with the national? Who comes up with that?
Who allows all that crap?
Is it like an actual day? Like, is there like a federal? Is there an agency that is coming up with these days and sending them out?
I don't know.
Is it voted upon?
I don't know. Some of those days are okay, but not all of them.
Is there like legislation that says January 13th of every year will be now known as National Donut Day? And let me tell you something tricky about that Donut Day. It comes up more than once a year because I know for sure I've seen it, and then within a couple months it's Donut Day again. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm pretty sure it was Donut Day like 2 months ago. How did it come around so fast?
I feel like this. As I don't know when the last time I had a donut is, but I feel like I see the post when it's really hot and when it's really cold.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like I see the posting about National
it's cold
Donut
right
Day.
now.
So I'm like, I feel like it's got to be more than once a year.
It's cold right now. You know, what we need is National Hot Chocolate Day when it gets cold.
I bet they have it, dude.
Shit, it's going to be National Hot Chocolate Day for me tonight because it's cold.
I remember this was a few years back. I pulled up. I did a little Google search on what are all the national days and this and that and whatever. And it just felt like it scrolled for infinity.
Forever. Pages upon pages.
Like, fuck.
Like repeats.
Out.
Shared days.
I feel bad for whoever put that list together, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot of typing.
I don't know, man. It's we got days but the important ones are. I do think there should be a first responder day. I feel like we have police week, but I just don't feel like it doesn't have the same. I mean, maybe it shouldn't. When you look at like say Veterans Day or Memorial Day, what we're honoring is such a deep. And I don't want to minimize first responders because I'm a first responder. I'm not minimizing it because it's I've lost friends. Yeah. I've had friends wounded, on the streets and dealing with criminals. I just think that's a real thing.
First responders, many first responders put their life on the line every day.
In a different way,
but it's.
I guess when I think about. So if we think about veterans, World War I's a very interesting war to me.
Yeah. And
I don't know enough about. I've read a couple books on it, and it's confusing because there's a lot of things going on. You have this long front, and the battles are so horrendous. They don't even make sense. They're just constant, like no movement. It's literally just guys just shooting the shit out of each other, and really the shelling. The shelling is where it really was bad, and in the mud, and it just seems like such. And they did this for years, and the amount of lives lost. I should have looked it up before coming on the podcast. I didn't know why, but the millions of lives that were lost.
Millions.
I mean, a lot. And something we can't fathom today.
Yeah.
We have never seen anything like that in
Nothing
our lifetime.
Nothing
as much as people think they see. No,
yeah.
we haven't seen that. And, like the meat grinder concept. It was like a meat grinder, And so when I think of that, it's just such a huge. It just deserves its own special. I don't want to see other things lumped into it.
I would say, I'm brainstorming, talking off my ass right now, but take something like 9/11,
right,
and make that sort of.
That could be a first responder. It almost is
because that was all first responders.
So much more erupted out of it, though. We ended up in war in multiple countries, and there's controversy around that. And with the way things are now, with all the conspiracy theories, so 9/11's turned into almost like a conspiracy theory day, which really upsets me.
Ridiculous.
I understand that our government can be nefarious, and I understand that we never hear the whole truth about stuff. I get that, but come on, guys. That drives me nuts. I would like 9/11. 9/11 would be a great first responder day. I don't think it'll happen now, just because of the way conspiracy stuff is. It'll just always be. Someone saying something and shouldn't be said about it.
So I just had to see the World War I deaths. World War I.
Yeah.
Okay. Civilian and military casualties are estimated to be around 37 million.
Yeah, that's like unfathomable. 37 million people. in a war. Like that's unfathomable.
Whoa.
People can't wrap their mind. I don't even think people can wrap their mind.
And
around
it was of the military was just over 16 million. That means 20 million civilians.
Yeah, and I think as usual, the Soviet Union bared the brunt of.
Yeah, when
that.
you look at like these death charts and stuff
France
like it,
was, and they say because of I've read in one of the books I've read, this one author, because France takes a lot of shit for World War II.
Yeah,
because they didn't fire a shot and that's being a little bit overly general. They pretty much surrendered to Germany without.
Yeah.
As a country, without as a government, let me rephrase that. As a government, they surrendered to Germany without firing a shot. The people resisted. There was a huge French resistance and really a lot of brave people. But they say a lot of that was because they lost so many men. The France lost just a huge amount of men that they just were not recovered when World War II kicked off. They couldn't do it.
And they're a smaller country. I mean, people got to remember is that
yeah. So they were so scarred from what happened to them, and they were on the front. Like that front was in France. They were so scarred from that they didn't have it in them as a country to go to war again.
Yeah.
And I understand. Like I understand because that was we got to think. You got to realize that was within 15 years.
15, 18 years, something.
At our age, that's nothing. That's like shit. We just did this.
Yeah.
You're never going to go to war again.
Yeah.
That's a very short period of time.
Whoa.
So that when you look at with France, World War I's a very interesting war. There's actually a lot of technological advances. You had like the tank.
Yeah.
Of course, chemical and biological warfare was really used. And unfortunate. There's some horrible stories about that. And when you look at that, I guess that was really the first legit world war, like where the entire world
was somehow involved in it.
Yeah, one way or another was involved in war. It's crazy. I mean, it makes sense we have a special day where we just. I don't think kids really know. I don't think they, unless you're interested and you really look into it. How much do we teach this in school?
How do you teach that? Does that make sense?
You got to go.
I mean, that's a year. It's a whole year.
It would be its own lesson.
Yeah.
But man, there's just I don't know. I don't think kids learn anything about this. Hardly anything.
No.
I can't remember learning anything. I don't think I learned hardly anything in school. I've done most of my learning afterwards, just reading books. Like for real, like legitimately learning afterwards.
I don't want to go into the big tangent, but the one thing I will say about public education in the United States, it's other than it's total shit as a whole. There's pockets of good schools. Don't kill up my fucking direct messages.
Generalization.
Generalization as a whole, it's shit.
Yeah.
It's designed and set up to go as fast as the slowest person.
Yeah, which
that's
makes
bullshit.
Sense. I mean, it makes sense that that's how it's set up.
Right.
I agree. It's not. It's definitely not the most ideal way to
throw
teach
that
people.
shit out. Because what you're doing is you're dumbing down and slowing down the more intelligent people.
Well, you know what's weird? So like my son, and I'm going to brag on him a little bit, but he's very intelligent.
Yeah.
My son's highly intelligent. Like he's
was he 15?
He's 15.
15.
Freshman in high school, but since 7th grade, he's been number one in his class.
Yeah.
And, of course, where we live here in Houston, he's got like almost 1,000 people in his class,
Mm-hmm.
And he's the top. And all college level classes as a freshman. And, we were talking the other day, and he's like, well, he's already narrowed down his list of universities he's looking at. And 3 of them are Ivy League, and then you're like this, UT's his fallback. And
the fallback, yeah.
That's amazing because UT is very difficult to get into. But so I'm looking at it, and he's highly intelligent, but he's honestly, classes are easy for him. And he's taking the highest level he can take as a freshman. Like, he can't take much higher. And he's taking higher, like, there's like his best friend's the only other person that's taking the same course as he is as a freshman.
Yeah.
And they're right there at the top of the class. But you make a good point. They're being held back a little bit. Like there needs to be a way to even push them even harder because school is easy for him. Like I wish school had been like easy like that for me, but school's honestly easy for him. And
so this is my recommendation for people that are there. Go take your GED and get into university.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
I agree.
It doesn't matter.
I agree.
Because if you want to go to, it's like, whatever, you want to go to Brown. Okay. Let's say he wants to go to Brown. He goes and takes his GED. Because of what Brown is and the population of the school and all those things, they're going to be like, wait a second, you're number 1 or 2 in your class and you took the GED, they're going to ask why.
Right.
And when you say, because I couldn't be challenged in public school and my parents don't want to spend 40 grand for me a year to go to a public school, or I mean a private school, they're going to be like, great, here's applications for, for, whichever scholarships and all this other kind of
stuff. I've actually been forced to start looking into this stuff with him because of where he's at. And, but to your other point with the education system, we're not creative enough with it. Yeah. We're just not. Like other countries are definitely way more creative, and they definitely gear education to the individual students, and at least better than what we do it by far.
Yeah.
And they're not everybody needs to go to school. College. Everybody needs to go to school. Not everybody needs to go to college. And there's just and not everybody's going to go to college.
Right.
And
what about, we talked about it before, and I just went blank on his name, the libertarian candidate out of New York that was on a boatload of podcasts and talk shows, and one of his things with school was cut high school. High school still goes through 12 grades,
right?
But after 10th grade, everything changes. It basically transitions into a tech school.
It should.
Or trade school, trade school. There's a slash there.
Or college. It's how you start your university.
Right.
What's it like at school? This is schools. That's what Germany did.
Yeah.
Germany basically had high school through 10th, and then after 10th you go to trade school or university.
Yeah.
It's one or the other.
And you can go from trade to university. Right. It doesn't mean you never get to go to university. Right. It's just basically, okay, you know what? University isn't your thing.
I think with our political system, I think with the way our system is, I hate to say this, we pump so much money into our government agencies. So many people's jobs and livelihoods are based on the money that's coming into these institutions, like say Department of Education, which is unnecessary. I think it's been shown that we don't need a Department of Education.
Yeah.
But that we have one, and so people's jobs and livelihoods are based on it. And so it's almost like, man, how do you get the government to take less money? Like how do you get them to start cutting their own fat?
Well, make it so they don't have to. Because it's like this. Here's a perfect example. I, with my education, would be happy to go into a school that would let me coach, and coach the right way, right? Because I have massive success with coaching. It's not like I'm good there, but didn't force me to teach fucking health and some bullshit.
Right.
I could go in and teach a trade. I could go in and teach whatever. It could be genetics. It could be physics. It could be, from an applied standpoint. Like, let me go teach them. I'll go do it.
Yeah.
And I'll go do it for the current teacher salary.
Yeah.
Because I love it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So don't cut the budget. Keep the budget the same, but
I think the budget should be cut.
Well, I think it should be cut, but I'm just saying,
I see what you're going
from a political standpoint, they're going to say, you know what, we're not going to cut the budget, but we're going to bring all of this in.
Right.
And then I know a boatload of people like me that would do it. Be amazing.
Yeah. Well, many of the issues
we
have our government and our country's facing. I guess those are first world problems, though, in some ways. So.
Yes. I'm like,
I mean, honestly, our country, we're so fucking blessed to live in this country, man. Like, I think about it and like, it blows me away. And so going back to say Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah.
If you look at how blessed she was growing up the way she did, and obviously hard work. You can't go to a good university without doing hard work. You can't get where she's at now without working hard. And I think she maybe got a couple breaks in there, but it happens for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And but look, man, look at her, like 28, 29 years old, and she's in Congress.
Yeah.
She was bartending a year ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I know.
What other country is this even possible in? Not too many places. I put her politics aside.
Yeah, but that's why I don't want to focus on our politics.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can find examples on the right of guys who are bartending or doing whatever, and then a year later they're in Congress, and they obviously have a background to get there. But it's just if you look at we'll look at I don't know, George Bush is a good example because he grew up in a wealthy family. Yeah. Of course, his dad had CIA, the president. But if you look at, he had the name to start with, but when he started running for Congress, I mean, I think he lost his first election, but he was running around in his car with him and I guess I don't even know if they were married yet, but they were running around their car, running around Midland, Texas, campaigning, trying to get elected.
In all honesty, doing exactly what Cortez did.
Yeah.
Exactly. She was out beating the street and working. And I'm putting all of her politics aside because it's a fascinating thing to me that someone who she is on the surface probably one of the least qualified people to be in Congress.
Probably.
And now I'm saying that.
Well, you got people like Maxine Waters.
Well, but I mean,
I don't know her educational background. I'm assuming it's not very well because
it seems crazy.
She says some stupid things. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I know we're supposed to not be too negative.
Well,
it's,
it's
hard.
A lot of in defense of both sides of this, a lot of the obviously older congressmen and women say some crazy shit.
Yes.
Both sides.
Yes.
Both sides. Because I heard some crazy shit coming out of I just went blank on his name, the head of the committee for the Kavanaugh hearing.
You talking about Chuck Grassley?
Grassley, yeah.
Yeah.
He said some crazy things, man.
He's an old man. He's been there forever.
That's what I'm saying. So
he's been there forever. He gets a pass.
At some
point, you get like a pass.
It should be a pass right out of Congress is what it should be, but that's a whole other point.
Probably.
But the whole deal is putting her politics aside. She's probably one of the least qualified people to be elected into Congress.
Well, when you hear her speak, that's what I think.
She doesn't,
She's a policymaker, or she's a legislator.
But I'm just
creating laws.
It's amazing to me that this girl, who was at what would be considered a part-time job, not a career, at a part-time job, hasn't, to my knowledge, led anything.
Well, she's 28. She couldn't have been out of college more than 4 years.
Right. 4 or 5 years, 6 years if she's super advanced with it, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I mean, how much life experience does she have?
Yeah.
Not very much.
None.
In your 20s, you're an idiot. In your 20s, you're a fucking idiot.
This is it. Think of almost every confirmation over the last 15, 20 years, every presidential candidate over the last several elections.
Yeah.
Every major seat, every major election, every major appointment and confirmation. What's the one thing that says all the time? You can't judge me on what I did in my 20s.
Oh, yeah. Well, until this last one.
Right?
She went to 17.
Yeah, he won his 20s yet.
When you're writing your yearbook, please, God, don't look at my yearbook. Oh, I don't want to know what kind of dumb shit I said back then. Man.
I don't think I can spell yearbook.
20s, you're an idiot. 20s, you're such a kid still.
And people razz me on when I say crazy shit like this all the time, but I'm like, you should have to be at least 30.
I
to run
with you for Congress. Fuck yeah.
You got
fuck yeah. You should be 30
or make it the same as a I don't know, but you need to be at least 30, dude. Please, come on, man.
I agree. Like
I mean, somewhere between 26 and 28 is when our brains fully develop.
Yeah, that's actually right. That's true.
So let's give it a couple of years past that, just to make sure you can
if these people
handle
want
a
to be
few things.
They're it's not taking away their opportunities.
No.
If that's what they want, they're going to work towards it. And by the time they're 30, they'll be ready to go.
That's what I'm saying. Is go, start a company, run something, lead something. Just do
life
something, please.
Man. Life experience. There's nothing replaces life experience.
Yeah.
And I see it in, and we'll dumb it down to just everyday street police work as an officer. I think the age to be an officer is way too young. The fact that you can be 21 years old, strap on a badge and a gun, and go out and take people's freedom away from them based on it takes a lot of judgment. Some of the stuff we do and making decisions on arrests and stuff like that. It's not rocket science, but you need good judgment.
Yeah.
And I see it with these 20-year-olds. I'm like, man, the more I look at it, I'm like, you should have to be like 26, 27 before you can be a cop.
Yeah.
And it'll never happen, but it should. Like, you're not ready. Like, when you're 21, 22 years old, and you're responding to a domestic disturbance, or we call it a family violence here in Texas, but say you're everybody knows what domestic disturbance is, and it's a husband and wife who are in their mid-40s or early 50s, been married 20-plus years, and they're having a horrible fight, and maybe it got a little physical. So the 21-year-old has absolutely zero experience in what that means to be involved with someone for 20 plus years or for an extended period of time, all the ups and downs of a relationship, of a marriage, of a family, of having children, of people cheating on each other, then getting over it and getting back together, of all those life issues that come up in a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
If you're 21, maybe not even have had sex yet, and maybe you've had sex twice in your life, and you've had one girlfriend in high school, one boyfriend in high school who you thought you loved. Right. We all know high school love doesn't really count,
exactly.
but at the time it felt real. That's your experience. And so now you're going to come up and make a decision on this. You know, you're going to take someone to jail based on someone who's 30 years of emotion in life.
So you get in there and the teeter in there. And here in Texas, here in South Texas, that scenario couple you just gave me, a lot of times it's going to be like, hey, Bobby, take your bottle of whiskey, call Johnny down the road, go sit on the porch for 20 minutes. Betty, go wipe your face, take a shower, see y'all later.
No, and look.
And a lot of times that's
actually, sometimes that's exactly what you need to do. But when you're 21,
you don't know that.
Okay, so now let's take this 25-year-old, put him in Congress, and you're going to help formulate legislation that's going to affect everybody nationwide. I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's silly to me, and I'm not slamming her at all. Anyone who is in their mid to late 20s, it's silly.
Yeah, and look, there's exceptions to the rule, but there's very few.
I have met some very mature 28, 29-year-olds.
There's so few of them.
But I will say this. Those very mature 28, 29-year-olds have no business making legislation.
Right.
They still don't have the
It's not ready.
No, man.
And you can't tell someone who's that age
that
you don't have the life experience yet. I know everybody says this, but God damn it, it's one of the truest things I've ever heard in my life. You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
And and that's like, if you really break that down, like when you know, then you'll realize you didn't know shit. But you won't know that till you're 10 years down the road. That's why you need to wait this long before you can make those.
You have to experience
that kind of influence.
Something.
Speaking of influence, before you can have that influence on people. Yeah. I don't know.
That's going to be a fun thing to watch.
With this new Cortez. Man, what do you think about the recount crap going? Florida, man, what's going on? Florida is, I swear to God,
Broward County, dude.
Florida off.
Broward County,
Sorry,
man.
Florida.
It's like this. I agree with the speech patterns of the Democrats. Every legit vote needs to be counted.
I don't think they're saying legit.
Well, every valid vote.
Right. I think all I've heard them say is every vote.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
They're trying to insinuate that.
Yeah, every vote in quotations would mean every valid vote, right?
To us.
By letter of the law.
To us.
Yeah.
They're pushing. I've heard them pushing, trying to get every vote counts. And you're not supposed to look into if it was from someone who's not a citizen or not.
And I'm like, oh, man. So I agree every legit vote needs to be counted. Absolutely. Do I think it is highly suspicious that I think it was somewhere between around 85,000 votes were just kind of found?
It's pretty suspicious.
Yeah, I think it's suspicious.
But you know what I heard today, and I think so. They're doing the right thing. The Rick Scott and the other guy's name, the governor, the guy that's probably going to be the next governor. They're protecting themselves with sending lawyers down and all that stuff. But when I heard the vote margin is still so large, like it's not much in the grand scheme, 13 to 15,000 votes.
Yeah.
But there's still such a large number that there's only a minute amount of votes left that are available to be counted, and that
and it's like
the worst circumstances are probably not going to. It wouldn't overturn that.
Yeah, if you count all the votes, right, 8 million votes roughly.
Yeah.
Right. Total. And I know that's a little different for each one, right?
Yeah.
Because some didn't vote for some. There's up ballots, down ballots. I get that. About 8 million votes, and you've got 30,000 vote differential. If you come in, you recount them, and it all of a sudden swings the other way by 20,000, you've got a 50,000 vote swing. Yeah. Hold on a second.
Yeah, that'd be super
Where'd that come from?
Yeah, but that's some Florida. Florida is, gosh, what? I've heard a good term from Florida, and I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I swear to God, Florida is just it's the crazy uncle at your Thanksgiving, man. That's the guy that
They went.
Man, the craziest shit
Some
happens
of my
in Florida.
Some of my buddies with a little less couth called Florida the Olympia of the country.
Yes.
During the Bush Gore nonsense. The Olympia of the country.
Well, they're maintaining that. And they will be the next election, I bet you. Because Florida's always a 50-50 state, man. It's always
it's
close.
always tight.
They
Close.
just never, like, you don't ever see, like, one party or the other really take control
They're
of it.
such super young and super old and super immigrant and super... You've got such a...
Variety.
Whoa, Florida's crazy,
it's always
man.
close. It always seems to lead right, but you never know.
It depends on part of Florida. Same in California, same thing. You got pockets of California that are super red, other parts super blue.
The majority of California is blue, though, which is...
Well, L.A.
Is that... What's the population in LA? Like 25 million in that L.A., San Diego area?
I got to look it up.
I
would be speaking out of my ass if I
7
said.
million people in California, I think that's the last thing I saw.
It's around 60 million, yeah.
60, yeah. So you got to figure almost... So at least a third of their population is in Southern California right there. In that small little... It's not small, but, you know, that little Southern California pocket. And then the rest is spread out.
Yeah.
But, you know, like San Francisco is extremely liberal. The Bay Area. I'm assuming Sacramento's probably liberal, too, but I don't know. Sacramento's a little more.
They're pretty split, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably more. Like I said, the only place I've ever been in California is Southern California, and I love it to visit.
Yeah, to visit.
I could never live in California. The laws that they have there, the craziness they got going on, fuck that.
I can't, dude. I can't.
Yeah, you would think with their crazy gun laws, they'd stop these shootings, but I guess not.
You can't stop.
Yeah.
You know
what I mean? Like,
okay, so
how do these shootings always happen? You know, I'm not gonna say always because I haven't researched it, but it sure does feel like a lot of these shootings happen in places where they have really strict gun laws.
Yeah,
and maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems like it.
It seems like a majority, more than 50%. It feels like, and I don't
we
have
don't have
the
a
stats.
lot in Texas. Like,
we don't have a lot in Texas.
Knock on wood. But we've had one. We had Santa Fe, but
we've had a few. But
Santa Fe was ended pretty fast. Not as fast as I would have liked it to be ended because we had that issue with that one officer.
Yeah,
who could have responded much faster. But other than that, I can't think of another situation in Texas or more conservative style states.
Yeah, I'm just saying all these things about the special rules. And you got to have the round pen to round release for your magazines and all that kind of stuff.
That's so ridiculous.
All the guys do is they make a glove that's got a fucking pen on it, and you just think it falls sometimes faster than if you actually had to hit your mag release.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, it's just like they make.
Yeah. Well, this guy used handguns, right?
Yeah, he used
in Thousand Oaks.
Yeah, at Thousand Oaks, it was a Glock. I don't know what it was, but it was a .45 caliber. Yeah, went in and did it, man.
Smoke grenades. And he was a veteran.
Marine, yeah, Marine.
PTSD probably is an issue there, no question. I think
he was rated with he was rated or diagnosed or however you want to term with PTSD.
Yeah.
I'll just give because we're there. Back in April, the end of April, there was some sort of domestic disturbance that they went to. California or the region of California that he lives, I don't know if it's the whole state, has a deal that if there's some sort of a violence or domestic violence type situation, special counselors have to come out and talk to the suspect.
Okay.
Right? And they have to determine, is he a threat to himself or anyone else? And then that determines if he gets taken in or has to go to a hospital or has to go whatever.
That's interesting.
Those people cleared him. That he wasn't. He wasn't a threat to himself. He wasn't a threat to anybody else.
Maybe he wasn't at that time.
And at that time, you
don't know what he's demonstrating.
Yeah. Did you see his Facebook post?
No.
I heard something. There's some reference about him, but I was like, crap, I didn't dig into it.
He posted. I know he posted and made a comment like, all you guys are going to do is thoughts and prayers as usual and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, it's...
the sense that it was clearly premeditated, which we probably knew that anyway. Yeah.
It's pretty obvious.
Well, one, like he got a fight with somebody about a girl and then went out and got his gun and came back in. And,
I don't know what caused him to go do that. And, man, it's horrible. It's horrible. I wish there was... I do think until we address mental health in our country, we're going to keep having these issues. It's not the guns. That's not what's the issue. Go to China, people are taking knives and stabbing 37 people before getting taken out.
Exactly.
Because they have mental health issues. There's mental health issues involved. So people like that they're going to find a way. And, We got it. We've got to do something.
We got to get on it now because we have this whole economic transition going on.
Yeah.
That we're getting away from, creation to more. It's, we've talked about that. Our entire economy and infrastructure is changing.
It's completely changing.
It's totally changing. And globally, it's changing globally.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be a lot of really scared people doing some crazy shit because their current job won't exist.
Yeah.
There'll be another job to replace it. But that change is fucking. But that change is scary.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how we address that. I don't know how much we'll see that. I don't know how much into the future that is, or we're gonna experience this. Like I can't. Like if I had to put a number of years on it.
So hard, man.
Yeah,
it is so hard.
Being
Yeah.
a futurist to figure that out, but it's gonna be interesting to see how we address that as maybe as a world. As a modern economy. All the countries involved in the modern economy portion of it, how they address that issue, because there's just a lot of jobs that are just going to not be, that are going to be gone.
I know
they're going to be outdated, not needed anymore. And our population ain't getting smaller.
No, it's growing, man. I'm like, oh shit, we're getting there. It'll be interesting, but to guess it, if you're like, tell me a year for 20 years. When it really kind of takes hold and starts that change.
So 20 years. I'll be in my early 40s by then. So.
Shit. maybe. Well, it depends on what happens to that technology.
Hopefully I'll be about 10 years into my retirement going, oh, man, this sucks for you guys.
Yeah.
I love this new technology, though. This is great for me. It's making my life even easier.
I'm loving this shit up real good.
I just wanted to come out the part where they can start replacing body parts and we can live forever. That's all I care about.
I think that may start happening before the transition we're talking about.
Fucking awesome. Can I volunteer to be like an early candidate so they can just experiment?
You know how it's going. Murphy's Law is going to be this. We're starting this now, and you will be 51 years old, and they're going to be like, anybody up to 50.
That's bullshit.
Watch.
First of all, I identify as a 30-year-old, sir.
I identify as a fucking chameleon out in the desert.
Did you see that guy that in I think he's in Norway or Germany or something? He's suing. He was suing to have his age. He's 69 years old, but he says he identifies as a 41-year-old, and he wanted to have his age officially changed on his birth certificate to 41 because he is experiencing discrimination based on his age, and that he will get more. One of his issues was he will get more romantic interests on dates if they think he says he's 41. If they understand he's 41 years old.
I mean, he's not lying. I believe that's true.
Well, okay, but I mean, that's his argument. So look, if they come out with if this guy, I gotta watch his case now. I'm gonna have to cheer for him because if he wins his case, then they can't come out and discriminate against me for being over the age limit to receive bionic body parts. They're going to come up with a bionic dick.
That'll probably be the first.
That'd be the first. That'd be the number one seller.
Japan's going to do that. That'll happen probably in 6 months.
Definitely do that. Oh my god!
It's probably already in human testing.
They're trying to figure out the perfect size right now because it can't be too big. You can't be John Holmes.
No.
Because that's most girls can't really handle that. But they got to find that perfect size, and that'll be like the.
I bet they've already got. I bet they've got it, and I bet it does. Like all the little vibrations and little wiggles and all that kind of bullshit.
And you just
watch, yeah.
Shit.
Watch, dude.
I'm down. I'll do my first purchase. Then I get some bionic arms. I want to actually buy extra 4 inches. My kids tell me that the average height of a man is 5'10", which makes me.
I don't believe that shit.
Which makes
Hold on now.
In the United States, which makes me 3 inches shorter than the average height. And I'm really pissed off about this.
I think it's 5'8.5". What do you think it is?
They looked it up. They told me it's 5'10". Maybe 5'9".
Average height of
in North America.
Male.
Because if you take worldwide,
I'll just say United States.
Yeah. Anyway, I was really irritated because all this time I used to think it was
5'9".
So I'm 2 inches below. So if I could just get an inch above average height, I just want like an extra 3 inches. So if I could get like legs to give me an extra 3 inches, that might actually probably be my first purchase of bionic limbs. And then I can jump and I can do like the jumping like over.
I want that. Okay, so I know it's a bad. I know this is a bad. All the fires in fucking California.
Oh man,
robotics is going to fix this in years, right?
in some like forest fires.
Like to assist in all that kind of shit, right?
Well, I wonder that something that someone told me is that there's so many, and then I heard Trump say something about this, but my brother actually brought this up to me that the regulations in California against like clearing out brush and all this stuff are pretty strong because they're trying to protect certain endangered species, which leads to these horrible wildfires that they get.
You can't go in and pre-clear areas to help
because they're worried about species. But this is leading to these fires too. So people are losing their lives and property. Did you hear that? I don't know. Did you hear Henry Cejudo on Rogan's podcast?
I didn't. I saw it was there.
He almost died in one of these things in California. Shit. Yeah, he was
one of the recent ones, or way back. Do you know?
It was just a little bit before his fight with Mighty Mouse, like a few months before.
Yeah. So the last big
that last batch. He was at a some type of event. And they were staying at a hotel. There's a bunch of athletes there raising money for something or whatever. But he says he never drinks, very rarely. But it was especially event, so he had a glass of wine. He said he had like 2 glasses of wine, maybe 3. Yeah. And it hit him pretty hard because he just, he's a professional athlete. His body's super clean. So you start plugging that in, it's like bam. And he's like, man, about midnight, he just went to his room. He's like, man, hey, I got to go to sleep. Yeah. So he went upstairs, went to his room. So woke up at like 2:30 a.m. and fire alarms were going off, and he thought that was weird. So he went out, looked in the hallway, didn't see anything, didn't see anybody. So he's like, "Oh, it must be bullshit." So then he went back to bed, and he said the fire was still going off. He was so out of it, he just went back to sleep. Wakes up at like 4:40 in the morning, and he looks out his window. He can see flames. The smoke woke him up. So there was smoke inside his room, and he started coughing, and that woke him up. And he had to jump out the window. And I think he said he was barefoot, and he was running. Like the fire was engulfing the hotel as he jumped out. No shit. And those things are moving.
Yeah,
like,
they go quick. Those
fires are not going slow.
They go quick.
So he's hauling ass. He hauls up to a hill, looks down, sees a police officer, and the fire's coming. So then he goes running. He's burning like the bottom of his feet, by the way.
I would imagine,
Goes running down towards the police officer, gets close, and then the guy takes off. I guess the cop didn't see him, obviously.
Yeah, clearly,
And he took off. He's like, shit. And like the fires are coming. And then, lucky for him, there's a big ass truck coming, or a fire truck. It was a fire truck coming, and he flagged him down. And of course, they got him in there and got him to safety. But yeah, he said his feet were scorched and all kinds of stuff from running from that fire, from these fucking wildfires.
That stuff is great.
Say like he jumped out, he had like his pants on, and that was it.
Yeah.
And like those were smoking, like he was smoking, like he was hot, like his body was like, he's like shit. He goes, that thing ain't playing. Like, you think you have time to get? No, those things are just
not moving. Those things, dude. They move.
Oh my god. Yeah. So these fires are out.
I just feel like robotics are going to be the deal, man.
How would how do you mean? Like, how would they fix this?
Well, because you have all the different types of fire deterrents and anti-fire and extinguisher type things, right? That you could compress that shit on all these little mules that we have. That those you can encase those to deal with tremendous amounts of heat,
right?
And you can GPS locate them. That can be internal, so you could they could go out and just and they release the compressed the compressed shit on a specific line.
Cool. I wonder how far they've worked into that, like with.
I don't know.
With the robotics. Robotics is very interesting to see some of the stuff that they do with robotics. But, that's bad. Well, that would be a lot better than risking a lot of these firefighters' lives. Because, that's so horrendous. They get caught up in those things all the time. I've seen where they show some of the stuff they have to do to survive. Like, if they get overwhelmed, like, they get those blankets that they roll themselves up in. So if the fire comes through, that hopefully they'll survive it.
Yeah.
And you got these guys, these smoke jumpers. Have you seen these guys? Jumping into the middle of these fucking things. I get firefighter shit all the time, but man,
not ones that deal with that.
Fuck. Now look, man, firefighters when they're dealing with legit fires, that's some serious shit.
Yeah.
I don't want to get burned.
That's just I just can't.
God bless you.
I'm sitting and you watch with these hundreds and hundreds, or whatever. I think it's close to 1,000 gallons. What are these things that they scoop up water and they're dumping over?
It's crazy.
And it's like
nothing.
Not enough to put 2 trees out.
Doesn't seem like it, but that's a ton of water that they're picking up and dumping. But it seems like it doesn't do hardly anything. I mean, obviously it must work if they're doing it because these freaking planes are going
I'm just sitting there, and this is me, as I'm thinking there's got to be ways like small munitions and things of that nature that could help deter and get that
There's
crap
gotta be
out.
stuff. I wonder how. I mean, there's got to be good technology behind it. I'm curious about that. You think there'd be like water bombs?
Something.
I don't know. Like you would think our firefighting technology would have advanced to deal with these things more because we've had them forever.
And these are things I don't know. Can you compress liquid nitrogen?
I have no idea.
And then if you do and it puts the fire out, is there a toxic issue afterwards? I don't know.
You're way above my pay grade on those things.
I'm just like, gotta be fucking, you know? Like,
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Well, you know, this is where Stan Lee could come in and help
Thank
us out.
you.
If we get the
See.
Silver Surfer out there or something, and
Right?
just ice shit all down and just clean it all up, we'd be good to go.
Damn motherfucking shit. Yeah, that's sad, dude. He's out. It's not sad though. I don't know. I'm like, it's sad he's gone. But
It is sad to me. Like he's
It's
like
sad,
no
but-
more cameos. Like we're not gonna have any more cameos.
Nah, they'll CGI him in all of them. He's.
What's his coolest cameo?
Oh.
What was the one where he did the strip club? He was a strip club DJ. Which movie was that? Man, that's killing me. I think that was his coolest cameo where he played the strip club DJ.
Which movie was that in?
I can't remember, but it must have been like it had to be like Iron Man or
Well, I was thinking it was Iron Man when you said
it
that.
has
but
to
I
be
was
an
like,
Iron Man one because he always is
Yeah,
a little
that
more
would
edgy.
make more sense.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I
Yeah.
think that might have been his coolest cameo.
He's had so many, man.
Yeah, let's be some. I'm bummed out about Stan Lee, man. My chair keeps.
I see. I saw
shrinking
that.
on
I was
me.
like, "You're
It's like
drinking."
there like 3 times. I'm like,
You start talking about height. Your chair's
I know,
gone,
it's
dude.
like the chair's like, yeah, it's just jinxing me. Like, you think you're average height? I'm gonna knock you down a peg or two.
You're like, son of
I kept shrinking. I was like,
Doop,
what the
doop, doop,
fuck?
doop, doop.
Why is my chair falling?
Oh, so now when we're done, I'm gonna look for the Stanley
strip club
Dust
scene?
Away. Well, I'll look that up
this
too, but
got to be there. I can't believe it's not there.
Yeah.
With Thanos, man.
It's gotta be.
What a bummer.
I don't know, dude.
There's gonna be some good tributes though to Stan Lee.
Yeah, that was awesome. No, we're good, man. You gotta,
Right.
you gotta go choke people
I gotta
tonight,
go
right?
choke people, man. I'm even though I'm a little bit congested from this crappy weather.
Squeeze it out.
I'll hit some pre-workout with my Red
Oh,
Bull.
that helps. Yeah, that helps.
And it's been a routine that's working pretty well for me when I take my Red Bull and I down my pre-workout with it. It's like
Way too much for me.
It's like I feel like Iron Man. I feel like everything's on fire. I just launch. It's like 3, 2, 1.
I do like a little less than half of that one that I gave you,
No, I have to.
and that's it, dude.
I have 2. I eat pre-workout twice a day. When I wake up to hit the gym,
Yeah.
and then right before I train, and I have to.
Now, if I went early like that,
Yeah,
I would.
I'm there at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm in the gym by 6 a.m. starting cardio and knocking that
Done.
pre-workout, and then I'm good all day. But then by 6:30, 7 o'clock at night when it's time to train again, my body starts to
It's
like,
tired.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I hit that pre-workout, boom! I got 2 more
Shit.
hours in me ready to do something. But you know what's funny? By the time I get home, I'm ready to go to sleep.
Well, yeah.
Tired.
Body's toast.
Yeah,
man.
I'm ready to.
Dang.
My dog's not. Dog's like, oh, you're home.
Yeah. Woohoo, we're good.
Yeah, it's party. I'm like, God.
No
dang it."
chongs. Nope.
Yeah.
Awesome. No, that was good, man.
Yeah, it was fun, man.
So Stan Lee, a little influence, touch on a little politics. I'll get a little hate for it.
But Joe, I think we were positive on the politics. We didn't like crush anybody.
No,
I thought we were pretty good with it.
Yeah, we're pretty good.
We didn't like
We're better.
talk about what adults Ocasio-Cortez is. Oh, oops. Sorry. Messed up.
Sneaks. So everybody, thank you. Look for the Stan Lee disappearing, dust disappearing.
Or send
thing.
it to me. if
Or
I
send
haven't
it to
seen
us. Yeah,
for
actually,
sure.
that'd be a lot easier. Yeah, send it to us.
Yeah.
Like that. So thank everybody. We'll see you guys
guys.
tomorrow or next week. Peace.
Peace.
You got it. I got to do this, man. You got to wait. I kept doing it in the test. So
So you
people
got
might
like
hear
10
this, but they
seconds,
may not hear this. But it
I
might
can't
cut.
figure it
I
out.
don't know. I don't know.
I messed it. You know what's funny on last week?